Today I would like to show you how to make one object track another and move towards it. For this I'll create a 3D object. Let's just use this sphere. Let's call it projectile. I'll just reposition it. So now I can better see it in the scene view. We need to attach a script to this. I'll just call it ProjectileBehavior. Now that our script is opened up, I will go ahead and create the fields we need. First off, we need to create the speed for the projectile. I'll just serialize this field so we can use this in the editor. I'll create a float speed, set it to 5 for now. We will also need the position of the object it wants to track. So we need the player's position. I'll serialize this as well. Let's call this transform player because we need the transform of an object. And finally, I'll create a private vector 3 called playerPosition. And in the start method, I'll set the player position to be equal to the player.transform.position. This can be a bit confusing. So what I'm doing is I'm creating this transform called the player, serializing it. And then I create a vector 3 called the player position. And I'll set this vector 3 to be equal to the transform of the player. So these two are not the same, even though it might seem like it. Now in the update is where I want to move towards the player. But firstly, I want to create two methods. To make this work better, I'll create the private void. Let's call this MoveToPlayer. So this method will handle the logic of moving the projectile towards the player. And here we'll use the transform.position, so the position of the projectile gameObject. So this will be equal to vector3.moveTowards, a built-in method into Unity. And as you can see, we'll need a vector3 current. So this is basically the starting position of the object. Then it needs a target, so where to move towards. And then the max distance delta. So this is how quickly it will move. Well, our starting point is our transform.position. That's where the projectile starts. Our target is the player position. In parentheses, we'll use the speed we've created. And we'll just multiply it by Time.deltaTime to make it frame rate independent. It will also make sense for the projectile to actually disappear when hitting something. So for this, we'll create a new method called private void DestroyOnHit. He will just check if the projectile has hit our player. So if transform.position, this meaning the position of our projectile, is the same as player position, the position of our player. So if the position of a projectile and the position of the player is the same, then we destroy this gameObject. In update, we need to handle these methods. So MoveToPlayer and DestroyOnHit. Now we need to save our script, and in the Unity editor, you'll find your projectile. As you can see, it has the SerializeField, so it needs the player as the transform. So we'll just drag the player in like that. And now notice the sphere is here. I'll just use the scene view as well to give you a better view of what's actually happening. And when I press play, it moves towards the player and is destroyed. I hope you learned something new. If you did, please consider liking and subscribing. It helps me out massively. And if you want to see a tutorial on something else in Unity, leave a comment down below and I'll try to make that tutorial for you.